Saudi Arabia's obsession is to keep the market share. And currently there are a certain number of threats in their eyes.
Today we're going to be talking about the oil markets, and particularly starting with OPEC's monthly oil report for February, which showed a really odd discrepancy with Saudi Arabia, because secondary sources showed that production for Saudi Arabia oil fell, whereas the country actually reported that it boosted production in February. So why is there this odd discrepancy?
Well, Saudi Arabia's obsession is to keep the market share. And currently there are a certain number of threats in their eyes. First, Iran reached 3.8 million barrels per day in February 2017, which is the highest ever. There is also Nigeria. Nigeria crude oil output increased also in last month, though this time with the agreement of the OPEC, they negotiated that. And add to that all these countries that suffered a lot for the budget over the past months, Algeria and the others, they really need the cash, so they are tempted to increase the output. Now, not only you have the OPEC countries, but you have the non-OPEC countries, where the supply is expected to slightly grow in 2017, notably from the US. And in the US, one of the big things is the shale oil break-even is now below $50. It used to be at around 80, and of course with the current presidency we can expect their business to be facilitated. Also, there is a tension, there is a question mark with the deal OPEC has with Russia. Russia will open a new field in East Siberia. They will start commercial production later this year. So all that is keeping Saudi Arabia under pressure. Plus, they really want to keep the power. So maybe the idea for them is to say, guys, we decide, we can have a real leverage on the price. We can play with that, so be careful. And that might be the message behind that discrepancy.
Okay, and so looking to the United States, we have US crude oil inventories have reached an all-time high. So do you think we're going to start seeing a selling off of crude oil futures?
Well, the fact is, actually, if you look at the stocks compared to January last year, you'll see they are pretty much at the same level. Now, of course, they are high. Of course, we had a quite warm winter in Europe at least, so we didn't consume as much as oil as usual. But the world oil demand is still expecting to grow slightly in 2017. Plus the fact that the market has clearly a short-term vision, so they play on the short term, so that we will see the price going up and down at the short term. That being said, I don't think we will see a huge change over the coming months, probably because somewhat Saudi Arabia will try to level the price.
Okay, and so US military magazine Stars and Stripes have said, and this is a quote, the Iraqi army and its allies have blocked nearly all access by the Islamic State group. And so this is cutting off one of their primary sources of funding. What do you think this means?
Well, if we see that from the Saudi Arabia perspective, clearly for them it's one competitor down in a way. But it's also a big fear. So we are probably seeing the end of Daesh now. We have massive bombing on Mosul as we speak, unfortunately. Like we had massive bombing on Aleppo, the two armies seems to have the same kind of strategy, which is costing less of their soldiers' life and more on the civilians, unfortunately. So we clearly see probably the end of that Daesh situation. And so on the oil price, that will be just one player down and one fear that will disappear, hopefully.
Well, Francois, as always, thank you so much for coming into the studio and giving us an update on the oil market.
That was a pleasure as usual.
That's all from myself and Francois today in the Geneva studio. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a like and comment on our website, dukascopy.tv.